We are live, Nick. We are live. We are as live as we are ever going to get. I'm always interested to see what you have for the rundown. Sometimes you privy me to that information. Sometimes I'm not privy. I'm always interested to see what you got. Boy, do we got some stuff to talk about tonight. I think you just cut yourself out. You might have to refresh your window there. Yep. Like a season pro at this point. Let me see if we got Nick. Nick's back.
Yeah, if I touch it, it's gonna go out.
We're gonna have to get you a cable.
Yeah.
Oh, it's out. It's always at the beginning of the streams too. Nick always seems to figure it out. He always seems to figure it out like right when we go live on the show, and then it genuinely doesn't have any issues after that. It does look like you might be back, Nick. I do think.
Am I back?
Yes. My gosh, look at that guy play second base. I tell you what. You're back. Tell you what, these red legs. What do you think, chat? It'd be kind of cool if we could just keep playing the Royals, the A's, although the A's have been hot. The Royals, the A's, the Cubs. That'd be kind of cool. I'd like that. We're going to have to Amazon Nick a USB-C cable or something. I'm going to get on him tonight about it. Going to have to overnight it for him. Bum, bum, bum. All right, chat. Positive vibes, chat. Positive vibes. Come on, Hoosier. I don't know who we're talking to. I'm going to have to go back through here and read all this. Probably got a good point. You might have a good point, Hoosier. I don't know. Duarte. Looks good, man. He's looked good. Looked good. He looked good the other night. See what he does against DeWitt. Old Witt Jr. We went to, I was in Kansas City for the football game that was played out there. I know that's a sore subject for some, but nonetheless, there was a radio station that was talking about Witt Jr., and they were trying to give comparisons on, what kind of player they could be, et cetera, et cetera. And Andrew McCutchen came up, and someone brought up the fact that if he has a career as good as Andrew McCutchen, that'd be nice. And the hosts, people running the show, laughed at the guy that called in, was acting like that wouldn't be good enough. I'm like, whoa, what are we talking about here? I mean, could you imagine acting like Andrew McCutchen would be a disappointment? And maybe he will be. I don't know. I'm not trying to downplay Witt Jr., but my gosh, it seems kind of wild.
Am I in here?
You're in here, man. You sound great, by the way. You're stressed out. I can tell you're stressed. I mean, we need to get him a USB-C cable or whatever that may be. And as I say that, Witt Jr. obviously just does a great piece of hitting, just pokes it out to right field, 3 for 4 on the night. I'm making fun of the host acting like Andrew McCutchen's career would be a disappointment for Witt Jr. I mean, Andrew McCutchen, if I remember right, this is a long time ago, Nick. Like, he was arguably in the race for MVP a couple years, right?
McCutchen?
Yeah.
McCutchen won MVP.
Okay, there. Even better. It's like, how could you laugh at a caller saying that they think that that's basically a great comp or that's somebody's career they would like him to be, and that the hosts were like acting like that was not going to be good enough. Jeez.
Yeah, Andrew McCutchen finished third in MVP, first in MVP, third in MVP, and fifth in MVP in a 4-year
Yeah, I mean,
span.
come on,
That's
man.
a hell of a career, man.
Yeah.
Like,
what kind of hosts are those? Those are some losers, man.
I mean, the guy's got a career 837 OPS, and he played center field most of his career. I mean, like, that's a great career.
Like Matt McClain's going to
15
be Craig.
years.
Like Matt McClain's going to be Craig Biggio. No, we don't want that. That's not good enough. We need it to be like Joe Morgan or something.
All right.
Man, our chat is popping. I'm trying to keep up, guys. I'm trying to watch the game, and I'm trying to keep up with the chat. We got people. We got real, genuine excitement, and I'm happy for that. I believe that's a great thing. Our fan base deserves that. The people, like I said, that were pessimistic, they weren't sure about this team, they weren't sure about this organization, they wanted to sit there and, cry about ownership and all that. That's fine. You're welcome back too. It's one big family. One big family. You're welcome back. Come in the chat. Enjoy life. This baseball team's fun to watch. Haven't really been paying attention to the chat. I do see a pretty much very solid chat member, Mouse Cop, saying that we need to stop the negativity. I don't know if he's talking about just in general or if he's talking about our chat, because our chat, we don't do negativity in the chat. We're gonna start giving out timeouts. We're
gonna need a moderator if we keep Reds keep winning.
That's right. We're gonna need somebody in here cleaning it up. Can't be having no negativity in the chat. I don't think we have that, but just saying. There's nothing to be negative about. Let's be honest.
If we pointed out that the Cubs are up 10-6 right now?
Yeah, we know. We know. I mean, most people know. I knew. I wasn't going to say anything until it was a done deal. But
they're heading to the bottom of the ninth.
You know what I would say.
We gotta do a little.
Man, I'll tell you what. How good is Matt McClain, dude? Not everybody can be Matt McClain, man. I know that people are a little worried about Ellie. Not everybody can be Matt McClain.
I saw someone said extend Matt McClain, and I was like, oh, that kind of got me thinking. I mean, I think I'd probably wait a little bit because it's hard to see him getting much more value at this point, but I definitely like the mindset of that idea.
Yeah, it all comes down to a couple different guys on this team. Let's listen. We got a lot of control over these guys. Let's not get too overly crazy about all of this extension stuff. Let's worry about that. We can talk about that in the off season. Come on, boys. I thought Tyler Stephenson's done a little bit of a better job tonight framing some pitches I've seen.
I got to be completely honest. I missed quite a big
chunk of it. Not a big deal.
Like I kept having to miss little chunks here and there.
We need to throw strikes though. Listen. Duarte. I think that's how you say his name, man. I can't keep up with
Duarte.
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 Yeah, I think I got it. I know we're trying to make good pitches and all that, but you know what? Right now, just throw it down the middle. See how far they can hit it. That's where I'm at. We're not walking guys. We're not walking guys, Nick. Let's make them earn their way on.
Yeah, I mean, you could, like Tyler Stevenson absolutely crushed a ball yesterday.
Right.
It was an out. I mean, yeah, I'm with you.
Big ballpark.
This is definitely a ballpark.
There it is. That's a good job. Kevin Newman. No.
Kevin, what are we doing?
It's not the end of the world. It's a tough play. It's a really tough play. And I'm going to tell you, listen to me, chat. I know everyone's – listen, let me try to calm everyone down. Those runs, they don't matter if they're on first and second right now or if they're on second and third. It doesn't matter. Now, you could make the argument back to me, hey, what about a double play ball? I'd say, yeah, you got a small point there. But overall speaking, I don't think it's a huge matter. The only play that I think he had right there, and I know it's really, really difficult to do this in real time. That's just a really unlucky situation there. Is if he acts like a first baseman on third base right there and he tries to extend his arm out, catch the ball before the runner gets to third, hope the ball beats him there, and you get the out at third. He never had a chance at first. Never in a million years. Even if he made a perfect throw, he was not out. Who are we going to here? Is it the man time? Is it time?
Yeah,
It's time to bring him in?
Sadek just said Diaz is coming in.
Yeah, I figured. We can't ever
I
make
mean,
this shit easy, can we?
it's. I mean, I know everyone's like, yeah, the off day tomorrow, but man, it sucks. Like, this was a good chance to get him 2 days off.
No, you're up 7. You're up 7-3, Nick. Someone come in here and finish the damn deal. How about that? Somebody come in and throw strikes.
Hey, we're up 7-1. I'm just saying, it sucks that you have to use Diaz. This kind of stuff is cumulative over the course of a year.
I'm with you. We shouldn't have to use him. We shouldn't have brought him in. I'm not saying we shouldn't have brought him in now. I'm saying like we can't bring him in every single time. Somebody needs to come out.
Okay.
Someone needs to come out of this bullpen. Someone needs to come out of this bullpen with a 7-3 lead and say, you know what? I'm shoving it right down the middle, and let's find a way to see you get some hits. Which, to be fair, they got 2 hits. I think we walked 1 guy. It would be kind of cool though if we didn't have to do this every night. That'd be nice. We need likes, by the way, guys. I don't know where we're at. 41 likes. We need likes. We need them fast too. We need them fast. We need outs and likes. They go hand in hand.
Peanut butter and jelly. Oh. These guys do make it interesting, though.
Every night. Yeah, we can't just enjoy one.
Interesting baseball is better than not interesting baseball.
Not tonight. I was looking for some not interesting baseball.
All right, let's close the Andrew McCutchen tab. Speaking of Andrew McCutchen.
Oh, come on, Diaz. Where are we at in the lineup? This is bottom of the lineup, right?
I don't know. I was plugging in cables.
I think we are. I mean, they were just at wit. They were just
7.
at wit, so we got to be at the bottom.
7.
Yeah.
This guy is extremely fast, though.
Yeah, I'm just looking for
come into play.
Just looking for an out. Just looking for an out. That's all we need here. Well, looks like those Diaz boys, they know what they're doing. I love how Edwin just he's been hurt. He's just on there.
Is he really active though?
No, but I just think it's funny that's like that's the thing. I'm assuming that's an active streak because that's what it seems like.
Still on a roster, I guess.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying like he plans to come back. I mean, it's not like he's retired or something. Oh shit. This is one of those spots too where Diaz had to come in. He didn't come in fresh out of the pen.
As he walked in, I didn't want to say it.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Oh man.
Why do we do this to us? Why? Just
like
why,
I said,
chat?
that's a fast guy on first base. If
we want a double play ball.
Thanks for that first pitch swing.
Double play ball.
Are we synced? I just saw the.
I think you're maybe a smidge ahead of me at the best.
I'm seeing the 0-1 right now.
Me too, but it's
give him that strike 2. Let's go. Put him to bed. Just give these guys hope for a third straight day, and then just break their hearts.
Sliders outside. Don't miss in with this slider. Sliders outside here. God damn, he's all over the place to a certain extent. He's really not hit his spot once, if we're being completely honest, chat. He's gotten one swing and a miss on a bad pitch. He missed up with his second pitch that happened to be a strike, and now he just almost buried that one.
There you go.
These guys are fucking idiots. This team might beat us. I'm going to tell you right now, they might beat us. I don't give a rat. If they beat us, they beat us. But these guys have come in 2 nights in a row and have been absolute dipshits when they've come up to the plate. This clown is probably hitting a $110. Feeman playing for the Royals, hitting in the 7 spot, and he's out here swinging at Alexis Diaz pitches that are a foot off the plate when he should be praying to God he should walk. He should walk up there like a 7-year-old, his first time playing Little League, praying to God with his bat on his shoulder, shivering in the box, looking to walk.
Trace, this was us last year.
I
Look
mean,
how far we've come. Look how far we've come.
I can't listen again. They might beat us. I'm not trying, but they might beat us. This is my reverse jinx psychology. But by God, they're stupid. They're just idiots. I'm here for it. I wish we could play these guys the rest of the year. Relax, Trace. I'm trying to relax, Jim. This isn't good for my heart rate. It's not good for my health. Oh, God, we're missing. He missed a spot so bad it went all on the other side of the plate, and it was a good pitch. Brother. He's going to throw a slider a foot out of the zone. They're going to swing at it because this team's just a bunch of idiots.
There you go.
Right down the middle. Come on, Ellie. Ooh. It was all we had in the back the whole time.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, 5 in a row.
High drive, left center field, racing back to the Laurel Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! They did! Reds win! Line to the right field. Junior, the first run ever, with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to a career of Jay Bruce.
Nick Kirby,
Trace Fowler.
breaking news. The Chicago Cubs are 1 strike away, and I will keep you updated. 1 strike away from making the Cincinnati Reds 1.5 games back of the NL Central. The odds are plummeting by the day. Betfred Sportsbook is shaking in their boots. If the Cubs were any good, they were going to help this intro out by throwing a damn strike and let me say they are 1.5 back, but they can't do it because they're the Cubs. So we're going to keep it moving, and we'll let you know if the Cubs finally don't cub. But that's nonetheless. Nick, Reds win 7-4. They sweep the Royals. I feel sorry for those folks in Kansas City. They got to watch that club every single night. If I were them, I wouldn't watch them every single night. That's how bad they are. I'm not a big fan of them, but I am a fan of playing them. Your overall thoughts on the fact that the Reds are 1.5 games back. What do you think about that, Nick? What comes to your mind?
Excitement, a little bit. Shock, if I'm being a little honest here. I mean, 1.5 back, it's mid-June. What is happening?
We're getting close to having to figure some stuff out. We'll talk about that here in a little bit later in the show because we usually talk about our game first. We'll talk about the rundown. We'll discuss some of the things we saw in the game. We'll get into all of that, but I think the time is right, chat. I think the time is right, chat. I think the time is right for the folks that are listening to this and enjoying their morning cup of joe, that we should discuss what the Reds could possibly do to help themselves just a little bit. We'll throw out some opportunities, some thoughts. Not saying we believe all of them, not saying it's the exact perfect move, but it's something to think about. But first, before we do all of that, I know you didn't get a chance maybe to see every single pitch tonight. I don't know if you have the box score recap ready to rock, Nick, but I'm sure you do. So hit them with it whenever you're ready.
All right, give me another. Let's do another intro. Save me some editing time tonight here. Let's get it. We're starting the show fresh right now.
Okay.
Start
Nick,
it. Kick
Nick doesn't want to. Nick doesn't want to edit. So you know what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it again. You ready? All right, Nick. It is another edition of Chatterbox Reds. Sweep edition. Reds win 7-4. They sweep the lowly, pitiful, dreadful Kansas City Royals. Some say they have a dreadful, pitiful, lowly quarterback that plays in that city as well. Just a little bit overrated, and the next thing you know, but that's nonetheless. We won't get into that tonight. Reds win 7-4, Nick. You always do something called a box score recap. At least, will you please do me a favor and give the people, whether they want it or not, doesn't matter. It's coming to them right now.
All right, Reds Royals, game 3 of this 3-game series at Kauffman Stadium. Bottom of the first, Royals got runners on second and third with 2 outs after a throwing error from TJ Hopkins, but Ben Lively struck out Michael Massey to end the threat to keep the game scoreless. And then right after that, in the top of the second, Spencer Steer had a solo home run to left center field. Home run number 9 on the year, 414 feet, 1-0 Reds. Bottom of the second, Edward Olivares smoked the ball to left field that Stuart Fairchild had to hustle to get, made a spectacular throw to get him out at second base to erase a leadoff double. Bottom of the third, though, the Royals did tie the game up on Ben Lively, the Reds starting pitcher, on Wednesday night on a Bobby Witt Jr. RBI single. Top of the fourth, Matt McLain leadoff bunt single. He was actually called out on the field, but overturned, a rare overturned call in the Reds' favor this season because the first baseman missed the bag, and then Jonathan India made the Royals pay with a double, scoring McLain from first base on some incredible hustle and probably a little bit of luck, if we're being honest, as Edward Olivares just missed the catch off the end of his glove. That made it 2-1 Cincinnati. And then in the top of the fifth, the Reds bats got cooking. Stuart Fairchild, Matt McLain, and Jonathan India all homered in a huge inning for the Reds. And just like that, the Reds took a 7-1 lead. McLain's home run was the biggest blast of the 3, going 428 feet. Bottom of the sixth, Royals did get 1 run back off Ben Lively. That made it 7-2. Alex Young got him out of the 6th. Final line for Lively, 5 2/3 innings, 10 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts, and he didn't allow a home run. Bottom of the 7th, Royals got another run to cut the Reds' lead to 7-3 on some really tough defense in center field from Barrero.
That's being
bottom
nice.
Of the 8th. Bottom of the 8th, Fernando Cruz pitched a scoreless inning despite some more rough defense from Jose Barrero, resulting in a 1-out triple, but Fernando Cruz was able to strand that runner. And then the Royals, they were able to bring the tying run to the plate. They got 1 in the 9th, but Alexis Diaz converted his 22nd straight save, tying his brother for the most active in Major League Baseball. Your Cincinnati Reds, they've won 5 straight games. The Cincinnati Reds, get this, started 1-9 this season on the road, and they are now 17-17 on the road. Reds' first interleague road sweep since 2003, and the Reds got more help as the Cubs and Brewers both lost today. Your Cincinnati Reds 1.5 games back in the National League Central Division going into June 15th, 2023 AD.
I can't believe it. I can't believe this is where we're at. This is so stupid, man. This is so stupid. Chat, we're 1.5 games out of the NL Central. We got Ben Lively throwing every 5th day. We got Luke Weaver throwing every 5th day. We got Williamson throwing every 5th day. We got 2 of our big 3 that we've called it from the beginning hurt, or one's not throwing well enough to where we said he was hurt because we wanted to get him a rehab assignment. And we are sitting 1.5 games out of first place in the National League Central. If you can't wrap your head around that, that's okay. That's a normal thing. I do have to say something, though. We have some super chats I need to get to. I'm going to run through them in order here really quickly. Corey, as always, he's a super chat. What would you call that? A super chat consistent. I'll come up with a better term. I don't know why I'm struggling tonight. But anyway, Houston, we have a problem. The Reds are coming to town. That is very true. We get a day off, though, before we head there and play the Astros. And then Gabe, who I believe Gabe hit us with like a beautiful rhyme last night. He's going to keep it much simpler tonight. He says, I love my team. Like I said, we're winning it all this year, and I am never wrong. I'm not, I'll take you for your word. Bryce Spalding saying that he wants a 360 dunk for the boys. I think that 360 dunk is coming. I also think, Bryce, thank you for the super chat, but I also think, Bryce, that there is an opportunity tonight if I can get some props. I'll have to get some props involved. But Clay wanted the Aaron Gordon dunk. I'll see if I can't deliver that. I don't know how that's going to work, but I'm going to try it. And Sir Boy Wonder, as always, is hitting us with the Cincinnati Reds. Buy the hype, as Sir Boy has been saying. Sir Boy, we've been selling the hype, brother. We're distributing the hype. If this was a multi-level marketing scheme that we were running, we would be at the very top. Curtis Reed, I know that kid. Curtis Reed with a super chat. Over Cam. I don't know what that means, Curtis. Anyways. All right.
We've even got Rick Broering in the chat, man. We've really gone big time.
Yeah. Well,
MusketeerReport.com.
Listen. We are in a situation at this point, ladies and gentlemen, like it or not, but this team has what I would consider a good amount of consistent players on it to where this isn't a fluke. It's not a fluke anymore. There's too many good players, Nick. There genuinely is. The only thing that's a little bit of a fluke right now is somehow we've piecemealed this starting pitching situation together, and our bullpen has been so damn good that it's just put a facade on the starting pitching. And I'm just saying to everybody that wants to be pessimistic about the starting pitching, it can get worse. I'm not trying to sound like an idiot, but can it get that much worse? Like at some point you would think that we might actually get lucky and start to get some guys that again either turn the corner. I think Luke Weaver is going to start throwing the ball better, but maybe I'm an idiot for thinking that. I don't want to spend too much time in all this because at the end of the day, the number one thing that we have on the rundown is power bats. You know, that thing that we're known for. We're so known for it. When somebody thinks Cincinnati Reds, they think, oh, God, you better watch out. Those guys will take you deep. Tonight, somebody on Chatterbox's Twitter, there was a post put out that said, name someone that hits a home run. I was trying to be nice to some people because Steer hit a home run. I was like, hey, let's just give some tickets out. Let's be nice. People replying to the thing. Let's be nice. Let's give some tickets out. Next thing you know, like half the damn lineup hit a home run. I was like, I can't do that. Like the marketing budget's just gone right out the window. So anyways, Nick, I don't know what I'm going to do to figure it out. But there was one person that said all of them, who was the closest person of the night. Your overall thoughts on the power surge tonight in a park, mind you, that's not supposed to give up home runs.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty wild to see. But I do think there's more power, in this Reds lineup than it's shown at times. Really good nugget from Matt Wilkes. Reds are the second visiting team with 4+ home runs in a game at Kauffman Stadium this season and just the fourth in the last 3 seasons. How about that? I mean, when things are going good, they are going good for the Cincinnati Reds right now.
It's crazy.
That was great to see. But Indy and Steer, I mean, these are in McLean too. I mean, these guys, Steer's got 9 home runs. McLean's already got 3. India's got 8. And in India, remember, he was having a really slow start, hitting the ball out of the ballpark, driving the ball early in the year. And I think as this season goes on, I wouldn't be shocked if we look up in mid-August and all of a sudden that narrative about the Reds not hitting the long ball is kind of shifted a little bit to where they're maybe at least an average, team in terms of their power, because they have a lot of guys with potential. And you combine that with the speed and folks, Ellie De La Cruz is going to get cooking here at some point. He started slow at every level. I'm not worried for half a second. Reds are 7-2 in the Ellie De La Cruz era. But he's going to get really hot. And then there's that guy named CES that also can. I really think the Reds are going to have flip this narrative about the power as the season goes on.
Well, it would certainly help if CES was around, but we'll get into that maybe later. I don't know. We do this every single night with CES to a certain extent because I'm a CES stan. All I am is an equal opportunity giver. That's all I am. I like people that deserve opportunities to get those opportunities, and I don't feel like that's being the case to a small extent with him. I want to get through this rundown before I get into the Barrero stuff. I want to get through this rundown before we get into some trade opportunities and or guys we can go out and get. But I don't want to forget them, and I'm doubtful that I will. But I see people in the chat. We're talking about multiple things. I agree. We should get into those things. Let's stick to the script here really quickly. Lively did his job, gave his team a chance to win, like it or not. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be by any stretch of the imagination, a guy you can rely on every single time he goes out there. But good for him, too, by the way. I don't know. We haven't really talked a ton about his journey. But for a guy that was as highly regarded as anybody, and the next thing you know, it didn't pan out, grinded his way back, if you will. Whether he believed in himself the whole time or not, I would venture to say he probably had moments of doubt, to be honest. Anybody would in that situation. But he stuck to it. He grinded it out. Not saying similar to a Fernando Cruz, but kind of a Fernando Cruz-esque type story to a small extent. Just never giving up, getting his opportunity, and he's made the most of it. Your overall thoughts on Lively? Obviously, we'll get into the bullpen after that.
Well, just like Williamson yesterday, he didn't walk anyone. Neither guy pitched well, but they didn't walk a single batter. And in that ballpark, I start to wonder after I see both of these lines where neither guy allowed to walk, if it wasn't hammered into them. Throw strikes, make them beat you. This team doesn't have a lot of power. They're in a tough ballpark. And, maybe some of those 10 hits that he allowed was kind of a little bit more intentional, where I'm going to rather make a mistake and make them beat me, and they couldn't beat you. So I think Lively deserves credit for that. I mean, for a guy that obviously we're playing with house money with, for him to go out 5 2/3 innings, 2 earned runs, no walks. I mean, I think that's impressive. We'll see how this can hang on. But the Reds just swept the series, Trace, with Luke Weaver, Brandon Williamson, and Ben Lively starting. I don't want to hear about how bad the Royals are. They're still a major league ball club. They're still a team that's won 18 games this year, and the Reds won all 3 games. That is hard to do. I would bet a lot of money that the Royals, I don't even know who they play in the next series. The next team's not going to sweep them because it's just not how baseball works. So this is a big deal for the Reds to come into Kansas City on the road. First time they've swept an American League team on the road since 2013. That just shows you how hard this is. There's been a lot of bad American League teams. It's a big deal for the Reds.
I can't agree with you more. The fact of the matter is when they went out to Kansas City, we seen the opening night. We put up the starting graphic of the starters on the opening night, and Weaver was going up against a guy that was 0-10 or whatever with a 10 ERA. And it just felt like that's the type of game that you find a way to lose. And if we're being honest, chat, remember when we talked about it on this show from the very beginning, we said, whatever, you win 50 games, you lose 50 games, it's what you do with the other 62. This felt like, maybe not tonight, but the other 2 games were a part of that 62, right? These were games that statistically speaking, at some point in the game, if not most of the game, the Reds weren't supposed to win based off of just analytics and math, and they did. And they have the most comeback wins all year long. Now, I think some of that is slanted. I think some of that's a little misleading because the Reds have a little bit of what I would call poor starting pitching, and their bullpen has been nails. So they get down maybe a run or 2 early, and then they find their way back to where in the 6th or 7th inning, Nick, it's tied. And this isn't one of those deals where they're walking, I don't say they're not walking every game off, but they're really not winning a lot of games in the 8th and 9th inning as a comeback. They're winning them in the 3rd and 4th and 5th inning, which is a credit to some of the starting pitching just being able to kind of hold serve a little bit. And the second part would be, again, this bullpen has been the best thing about this team, bar none. Diaz has done every single thing that we've ever asked him to do for the most part, outside of him getting hit a little bit in St. Louis on a game in which he had a lead in. He's been nails. I'd like to see a situation happen, Nick, to where we don't have to use him every single damn time in the ninth inning, even when we got a 5-run lead or a 6-run lead. It just seems like we always have to run him out there, but whatever. Maybe they're trying to boost that streak up there in the bullpen. Diaz is actually asking him to go out there and give up runs. Obviously, I'm being facetious and I'm kidding, but anyway. All right, we're going to make things interesting now. There is some updates. There's updates on Senzel. There's updates on Lodolo. Don't know if there's anything else you want to add from the bullpen before we get to that.
Well, I do want to make sure we mentioned Stuart Fairchild. I didn't really mention him when we were talking about the power bats, but made a really nice play in the field. He has looked really, really good. He's going to make things difficult for the Reds here as they're making decisions. OPS up now to 733. A 733 OPS with the way that he plays defense and the fact that he's probably a guy that eventually slots into a platoon where he's going to maybe even have an opportunity to hit better than that 733. He's been a good player for the Reds this year, and I don't think we can let him go unnoticed with what he's done in really, the injuries with Friedel and Fraley. He's been a big part. He's been playing almost every day in a role that he was not designed. This was a guy that didn't know he was going to make the opening day roster until the day before the season started, and he's still on the roster all the way through mid-June, and he's playing well.
He was a guy. He was a guy that wasn't expected to make the opening day roster. He was a guy that wasn't actually going to make. He wasn't going to make the opening day roster. He got optioned, I believe. He got optioned early in big league camp, if you remember, Nick. And then an injury obviously happened.
No. It was Henry Ramos got suspended.
Henry Ramos got suspended. I was going to say something happened. Henry Ramos got suspended. He comes up and he's not. I'm going to say he hasn't missed a beat because he's missed a couple beats. There's been a little battery low a few times where he's had to charge up the AirPods because they were low on some juice, and we were thinking about he needing to go down. Let's get into that in a minute because here's why. I think that goes hand in hand. Fairchild goes hand in hand with Barrero, goes hand in hand with Senzel, goes hand in hand with all these guys. So let's get into Senzel and Lodolo. There's some updates there. Go ahead and kind of share that and what your overall opinion is on it, and we'll start to get into kind of that big mess.
Well, Jim Day reported basically it's almost a done deal that he said Senzel was already on his way to Houston. So he'll be joining the Reds on Friday. You have to assume that he's replacing Barrero. I mean, they literally are the infield, center field combo. So it seems like a pretty easy transition, unless they just for some reason to go with TJ Hopkins. But I don't really see that happening. Who would you rather have in the lineup, Senzel or Fairchild?
Right now, I mean, I would take Fairchild just because he's playing well. Listen, I think baseball is a simple solution most times when it comes to who do you play. You play who's hot. You play who's playing well. They start to struggle a little bit. You give them a couple days off. You plug in the new guy. If the new guy can't play relatively well, you give the old guy another chance. It's not. That's what I was trying to get at before in regards to David Bell giving guys extremely long leashes to get it figured out. I think sometimes the best way to get it figured out is to just get a shockwave to the system and not play for a minute. You can say whatever you want about Barrero in center field. He's not a center fielder. We'll get into that in a minute. He's an infielder. And I've said that. Nick, I've said that from the start. I've said it from the start. This isn't just because he made 3 errors tonight or whatever. I don't know if they considered them errors or not, but they were pretty much errors. I said it from the start. But we're in a situation where instead of giving Will Myers a month and a half to figure out, I can understand that a little bit more than some other guys. But, and again, to be fair to David Bell, I'm not trying to kill him. He's managed incredibly well this year. I just wonder if we're getting to the point now where we're playing meaningful enough baseball to where the best person plays. It's not about what you've done in the past. There's not really one person on this team, Nick, that I genuinely think deserves the benefit of the doubt and should play through a prolonged slump. We don't have, I guess my point to you is like, we don't have like a Juan Soto, or we don't have, some incredible hitter that you're just like Joey Votto in years past, where you're like, I know he's struggling, but I also know when it clicks, and it's forget about it. The train is going to be rolling down the tracks and nothing's going to stop it. There's not one single person I can think of right now on this team that I would do that for. So to answer your question, Senzel comes up. He's not taking Fairchild's spot because Fairchild's playing too well. And I think defensively, finally, the last thing I'll say about Fairchild before handing over the mic is I think defensively Fairchild is very underrated. I don't think this fan base gives him enough credit for what he can do defensively.
Yeah, I think he really looks good in center field. I'm surprised how good he looks in center field when he plays there. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do. I think I would prefer Barrero go down over Hopkins. I don't mind if Hopkins is kind of that last guy on the bench. I want Barrero to get some at bats. I don't really care.
Barrero's going down, right?
I think so, but
that can't even be a think so thing. Like I'm not trying to kill you for it, but I'm just saying, like, come on. I mean, it's
being debated in our chat, which is why I brought it up.
How is it even a debate?
Hey, I would send Barrero down. I'm with you on that. I'm just saying I think Barrero needs to get the at bats. I don't see a whole lot of value of him being this. And I think he's losing confidence too. He didn't look confident out there tonight.
No. Listen. I not to cut you off. I want the chat to do me a small favor. Don't do a bit. We're not doing bits for this specific topic. I love the chat. They're funny 99% of the time. But we're not doing a bit on this specific topic. Please, chat. I see some people in here saying some stuff. Please put a somewhat coherent argument together as to why Barrero is not going to get sit down to Louisville. Luckily for us, I don't think it's going to matter a damn bit how good your argument is. However, Nick, I do want to at least see it in the chat before I discuss it, because I don't just want to go on a tangent when most people in the chat are actually, have brains and can see that Barrero's got to go to Louisville. However, I do want to see someone defend him if that's how you genuinely believe it. Go ahead, Nick. I don't mean to cut you off. I got to get that in.
I'd say there's a lot of people that think that TJ Hopkins should be the one to go down. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really matter because they're both going to be replaced by the next guy that comes up, which is Will Myers is probably not all that far behind Senzel. I mean, so it really doesn't matter.
I am going to give Will Myers legitimately like 5 games. Not fair. I know it's not fair, Nick, but that's legitimately 5 games. You're a parent. I don't know if your kids are old enough yet to know what I'm getting ready to say. But if you're a parent, you know what I'm getting ready to say. You're on a road trip and you've listened to your kids for so long that you're fed up with it and you're just done. And you turn around and you tell your kids, if I hear one more word, one single word out of you, I'm stopping this car on the side of the highway and we're going to take care of some business. I don't care if it's a single word. That is where I'm at with Will Myers. If I see one bad game from this guy, you get in there, you bring you up, I'll put you in the right field. But if you have one single bad game in 5 games, that's it. We're done, pal. Pack your shit, and we're moving on. That's how I feel about Will Myers. So I'm going to be nice and say, oh, big money Will, go ahead. Trot out there with your bone anchor in right field. We've been doing great without you, by the way. But since you're back and we're paying you a bunch of money, go on out there. Enjoy your time out in Great American Ballpark in right field. Luckily, you don't need a neck gaiter anymore, so that's not an excuse. And we'll see how it goes. That's all I got for you, Nick. Will Myers, I might hate more than Barrero because it's not Barrero's fault. We'll get into that in a minute. But go ahead. Lodolo. Should we do that one?
Yeah, let's go to Lodolo. Will Myers is going to get hot. He's going to get hot. I'm telling you, it's happening, and I'm going to be here for it. Now, Lodolo, it sounds like, long story short, earliest he'll be back is August. So that sucks. It was also reported that it was like good news. So I think the Reds might have thought he was maybe out for the year, the way that the news was reported. So yeah, I mean, Reds are going to be piecing together a rotation for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, you called that, so right?
Sadly.
Yeah, I mean, you called it. It's not like I don't think that's a surprise. We're gonna have to battle through it. We're gonna have to battle through it. And the good news is, this was never supposed to be a thing. This was never supposed to be even be a thing. We were supposed to lose 100 games. I don't forget what people were telling me. And I'm not suggesting we've made it. Oh, look at us, the Cincinnati Reds, crown us, put the banners up on the wall. But I know at this point, I'll tell you what I do know. I do know that we have, no matter what happens for the most part, we have meaningful stuff that's already happened this year that we can carry into future years. And I'm not suggesting that's all it's about is the future. It is about the present. It is about the now. If you've watched this show, you know that's how I believe it. But we're getting valuable experience to a lot of guys that matter. And you know what? You can say whatever you want. But the reason this team is 1.5 games back out of the NL Central, the real reason is because of the rookies. That is big-time reason. Matt McLain is the MVP of this baseball team, like it or not. You can tell me, and listen, this is not Jonathan India slander, okay? This is not his slander. Jonathan India, great baseball player. Love him, all right? I love him. But let me tell you something. You want to talk about a leader? You want to talk about a guy that made a difference? Matt McLain came up here, and he made a difference. He made the difference. Start talking about him when you want to bring up a grinder, a gamer, big-time player. Don't say anybody before you say Matt McLain, because if you don't, you're not talking right. And also, Jim, I'll calm down. I'm not that mad. I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm just telling everybody we got some studs on this team. Let's start talking about them. Spencer Steer, gamer. By the way, Spencer Steer, is he a rookie, Nick? I forgot.
He is a rookie. He's
a rookie. All right.
I want to read something. I thought Joel Sherman today, I tweeted this out earlier. I thought he had a quote today talking about the Reds on the MLB Network, and I just thought it was maybe one of the best quotes of the year. He said, talking about the Reds, they might actually win the NL Central, but even if they don't, there is a difference between a losing season and a lost season. This will not be a lost season for the Cincinnati Reds. And I love that quote. I love the way that was said. We don't know what the rest of the season's gonna say, so I'm not gonna dunk on everyone, but I will dunk on the people that told me everything about this organization was trash and it was a dumpster fire and there was no hope for the future, because you look like an idiot right now.
Well, here's how do I say this? I'm just gonna be truthful. All right. I mean, there's times in life where you try to eloquently state something to where you tell people what you really feel, but you say it in a way in which doesn't offend anyone. I'm just gonna say it how I feel it. There are people that live in this world that if the slightest thing goes wrong, they start screaming and they start yelling and they start telling everybody that everything's going to hell in the handbasket. Those people, right? Can't run anything. Kids show, I'm going to stop trying to cuss. All right, I'm going to relax. But they can't run anything in life. They can't see through what's right in front of them. They're not able to kind of forecast things. They're not able to see the bigger picture. It's just, what's a problem now? Let me find the problem. They're the types of people that find every problem for every solution. And all I'm trying to say is that I'm not suspecting or suggesting that you should blindly have faith in everything. You shouldn't. However, you do need to see what the track record has been for this organization and this franchise for a long, long time. They've hung on to guys too long. They've played fan favorites. They've not traded fan favorites. They've extended guys based off the fact that they think they needed to keep somebody just based off what will everybody's opinion be if they keep it. At the end of it, right now, if you want to call it that, Nick Krall has made a decision so far. I'm not going to say he's not going to be able to make a mistake, but so far he's stuck to a plan, and he has not deviated off of it one iota, not a single bit. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. I'll really believe in what they're doing. If they cut Will Myers, if they DFA Will Myers, and or trade Will Myers for a bucket of baseballs, I'm going to be all in on whatever Nick Krall's selling. If he wants to sell Kool-Aid outside of Great American Ballpark, I'll be the first person in line. Now, you and I both know that's not how it goes, because you can't DFA a guy that you pay a bunch of money to.
In
But
fairness, they did DFA Mike Moustakas, who was owed $20 million before the season started.
oh, that's good.
They didn't even give him a chance to go to spring training.
Yeah.
So
that's
they did. That was not. And Mike Moustakas has been on a major league roster all year, so it's not like he was necessarily just had no chance of playing competitive baseball. Now he's been terrible, but he still somehow found a way on a major league roster. So to their credit, I do think they deserve some credit or whatever. I mean, it was an easy decision, but they didn't just take the I guess the easy route of just saying, we play this guy, we'll at least run him through spring. No, they cut him, and I think that was good for this team. I really do, especially when you look back on it. There's nothing against Mike Moustakas. I don't want to speak bad about the guy, but
you're so nice.
I'm gonna speak bad about the guy. He felt like a bad vibes guy. Like Mike Moustakas comes, like you got rid of him. You have all these young guys in. I feel like he could have been a bad vibes guy in spring training, and they didn't give him a chance to be that guy. So
they probably didn't have any food. I'll stop. The buffet might have been empty by the time they got there. I'm just saying, that'll piss you off if you're hungry.
I think Will Myers can still contribute to this team, and I'll stand to it. And you can tell me how dumb I am if I look dumb in 3 weeks, but I think he could contribute. I really do.
Okay. All right. You're a Will Myers guy until the day is not a Red, and then at that point you'll look back and you'll be like, all right, maybe so.
I was a Stuart Fairchild guy too.
You were. Nick, here's the thing, Nick. You're most guys guy. I mean, you believe in most guys. And that's actually an endearing thing of you. That's an endearing thing of you. You weren't, but to be fair to you, to a small extent with Senzel. Senzel's had a great week in a couple weeks, so we'll see how this goes. I just believe in a simple thing. One, the culture that you create is the most important thing that you have. It genuinely is. You wonder why the Cardinals have been good for so long. It's because Yadier Molina and those types of guys in that locker room, they expected excellence. They demanded excellence. And the culture when you walked in was, we're going to win today. We're going to win today. I'm not suggesting the Reds are there yet, but I think that from a culture standpoint, I like to think that the young guys, like it or not, the young guys expected to win. I truly think that Steer and McClain and Ellie and Abbott and I'm missing a bunch of them, I know, but they came up here and they didn't have previous torture of losing 100 games. They didn't know what losing was to a certain extent, right? And they didn't care. But they've come in and they believe that they can win every night. That's the first thing that's the most important thing to do when you're running an organization, is to create a culture that expects and believes that they're going to win. So kudos to David Bell so far. They've got that. The second thing is you need somebody running the team that doesn't care about anyone's feelings, and he doesn't care what the fans think. He doesn't care about anything. His main goal and priority is to be a bean counter and to figure out what the most value is for this baseball team. A bean counter, you know what I'm talking about. Just somebody that sits there. They don't have any emotions. All they look at is they just count. They just count. That's all they do. And you know what? I think Nick Krall is starting. I think Nick Krall does do that. So that's why I'm excited. I'll leave it at that. Let's get into some people that need to go. I don't know if I got a chance to see anybody say why Barrero should be here. Maybe I missed it. I'll scroll through here quickly. Barrero, it's not fair to him to keep him on the Major League roster. It's not, Nick. I'm going to give my final case in point on Barrero right now. I'm going to stop talking about him because I do this. There's some poor people that are OGs in this chat that have to hear this all the time, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to say it one last time. You ready for it? He's not an outfielder. His value will never be in the outfield because he's not going to be able to hit well enough to cover his defensive inefficiencies as an outfielder. His sprint speed's not good enough. He doesn't have instincts out there. Just because he's an athlete in the infield doesn't mean one iota that he can play out in the outfield. It doesn't mean that. Nick Senzel, elite athlete. You could argue that didn't work out. Yeah, Spencer Steers played left field sparingly. But that's left field. That is not center field. Center field is one of the most important positions on the baseball field. You don't just stick someone out there because you think that they're athletic enough to figure it out. He can't hit in the big leagues, Nick. He can't do it. He cannot hit in the big leagues, and you're taking his best asset, the best thing that he does, and you're saying, you know what? Let's do this. Let's take that away from him. He is an elite level middle infielder defensively. That's what he needs to be in this league. That's the only thing, in my God's honest opinion, that he can be in this league. That's the only thing he can be. And if that's the case, you're doing a disservice to him and your organization. I know what you're thinking, though. You're going to tell me, well, Trace, they don't have a spot for him. There's a guy at second base that's better than him. There's a guy at shortstops that's better than him. There's a guy named Marty that's going to come up that's going to also be probably better than him. Then all of a sudden you got Arroyo in single A who's probably going to be better than him. What are you going to do to him? Well, I got an idea. You send him down to AAA, you tell him he's an everyday shortstop, you see if you can't get the old Barrero back, and he starts playing well, and you trade him. You know why you trade him? Because you have a deep farm system. You don't have to hug every single player. You don't have to think that you got to keep every single player. We can find a utility player, Nick, I promise you. We can sign a veteran utility player. We can go out and get guys like Kyle Farmer. We can go out and get guys like Kevin Newman. We can go out and get guys like that every offseason if we need to give me a utility player. I am not going to sit around here and take the best asset away from a prospect in a kid and stick him somewhere just because we think that that's something he could do to maybe help us. He can't do it. He just can't. And that's the last thing I want to say about Barrero. Can he be a Major League Baseball player? Could he be an all-star? He could be an all-star. But the only way he's going to be an all-star is if he's hitting 265, Nick. He's getting on base at maybe a 375 clip, and he's elite level Gold Glove shortstop. That's what he needs to be. And he's not going to be that for the Reds, and that's A-okay. Because you can do something in this league called a trade transaction, Nick. It means that you can take somebody in another organization and you can get them for him. That is how you do it. End of rant. I apologize to everyone in the chat that's heard me do this 1,000 times, but I'm sick and tired of watching Jose Barrero play outfield. And you know what? Kudos to Barrero also for tonight for at least hitting the ball hard, and he deserves some credit for that. But that's the last nice thing I'm going to say about it. And it's not his fault. It's not his fault that we decided to try to take a square object and shove it through a round hole. It doesn't fit. I'm done. I'm going to mute myself so I can shut up for a minute.
I think the most important thing is Barrero, he got 3 at-bats tonight, which puts his grand total of 8 at-bats in the last 12 days. Like, that's just this guy's got to go down and play every day. I'd say even more so than playing shortstop or center field or whatever they decide to do with him. This guy just needs a chance to hit. He's only 25. He has only he has like less than is 412 career at bats in the major leagues. He needs a chance to play and see what he's got offensively. I'm not sure I agree as much about the whole, keeping him position flexible. I still think he could provide some value to this team. You never know what the team's going to look like in 2 months. Could there be a bunch of injuries and you need him to pencil in somewhere? Maybe they should try him as a shortstop and like a left fielder or something. I don't know. Maybe that would be a little more reasonable for him to kind of give him some more options. But the most important thing is this guy needs to hit. He needs at bats, and you need to see what he's got to give you more options to trade him, to keep him, to do whatever. Because right now there's no options at all for him, because he's just sitting and rotting on the bench. And I think some of it was because a lot of guys got hurt at the same time, and there's a 40-man thing, but there's not really an excuse come Friday to not swap him for Senzel.
Yeah. I unmuted myself, thankfully. Yeah, I mean, RM brings up the fact that Matt Reynolds is in AAA. He's a better option than Barrero. Listen, there's a lot of better options than Barrero if we decide that we're going to play him exclusively in the outfield. There just is. But I don't want to kill Barrero a ton because I think that he could genuinely be a good player in the MLB. It just has to be what he's good at. All right, let's get into some other options. I know I wanted to stir the pot a little bit, but I was also being semi-serious. Behind every joke is a little bit of the truth. You've heard that saying, I'm sure, Nick. Although someone's being sarcastic somewhere deep down, they're telling a little bit of the truth. I put out a screenshot, Nick, of I put out a screenshot of a pitcher that plays in Japan. I know you're putting your hands over your face. I don't think that it's the right move to be made right this second because I think we're still too far away. But if push comes to shove and we're a month out, and I'm just saying it. Let's just say we're a month out, and we have a real severe need for starting pitching. Nick, I'm just telling you, Bauer is going to be one of the very few guys that you do not have to send a prospect to get, and you don't have to probably pay a ton of money. I get the baggage. I understand all of it. I'm not downplaying any of it. In fact, I made the argument as to why you should not take Bauer under any circumstances a few days ago on Thom's show, and that is because of the media circus that would arrive with that, and all of the ramifications that might come with that. So I'm not suggesting I think it's worth it, but I definitely think that if you're the Reds, you have to at least start to consider it if you're a month and a half out. And I mean, you can say whatever you want about it. We're not going to get into it, but you can say whatever you want. But he's innocent by the court of law, and I get people are saying there's more allegations and all that, but I'm just suggesting that it should be at least considered. You put your hands over your face, so I think you basically have said there's no way.
Well, first off, there is no way. So, I mean, it's not going to happen. I don't want that guy on my team. I don't want to have to root for that guy.
So that's where I think that's a bad mentality.
No, I don't want to root for that guy. I don't like him.
Not that you don't. Listen, you have your own personal opinions, and you can and should be able to do whatever you want. You live in America, which is beautiful because we're the land of the free. And I don't know if you know this, but in 1776 we took care of that. But my point to you is that in order for you to run what I would consider a great organization, you can't just go off of whatever your feelings are. Sometimes you can't do that. You got to do what's best for your team to win on the field. That's the only thing I'm posing to you. Let me ask you a hypothetical that's not fair at all. Now, a hypothetical that's not fair. I'm going to put it as a chat. Ready for it? If I told you right now that if you signed Bauer, you would make the NLCS, no guarantees that you're going to win it, but if you're going to make the NLCS, if you signed Bauer next week, would you do it? Put his brain in a pretzel on that one, didn't I? All right, we're going to put it a poll. You don't have to answer it. I'll let you answer it later. But that's all I'm asking. I'm curious what the chat's going to think.
Yeah, I don't like the guy. I'm not comfortable with him on my team, and I just don't see what value it brings. This guy's pitching in Japan right now. Like, you're just acting like he's going to come over and be the same Trevor Bauer.
Now. Aristides Aquino couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat in Japan either, and you were high on him.
Yeah, but Aristides Aquino's not coming over and going to be a distraction for your team and going to – let's also not forget, in addition to these allegations – there's multiple reports that every teammate Trevor Bauer's had hated his guts.
I agree. I understand.
We're throwing him into a team that is fun, that is energetic, that is youthful, that has maybe the best chemistry we've seen among the Cincinnati Reds in a long time. I just don't know why the hell you would even risk that for what's the reward of Trevor Bauer? What is the reward of it?
Here's the reward. I'm not suggesting that you do it. I'm saying you consider it. You got to at least consider it if you get down towards the end of the year. What was the question? What is the reward for Bauer? The reward is that it wasn't that long ago, Nick. The guy was making multi millions of dollars pitching for the Dodgers. Oh, by the way, the reason he got millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars is because he pitched for your favorite franchise, and he did a hell of a job doing it. You could say whatever you want about the guy. He did a hell of a job pitching for your franchise. He did. Period. Point blank. So what you get as a reward is you don't have to trade prospects. You probably don't have to pay a ton of money. You could DFA him if you really wanted to get after it really quickly if you felt like he was a distraction. I would think that he's probably going to be the most motivated player that he's ever been in his entire career. And if he were to ever change personally and be a different teammate that he was before, you would think it would come after all of this stuff. Not suggesting he has. I'm not suggesting he has. I'm just playing devil's advocate. So at the end of it, your reward is, Nick, you got a guy that can go out there and actually throw for more than 5 or 6 innings possibly and not give up 4 or 5 runs every outing. That's the reward.
Yeah, I hate it.
Okay.
I hate everything about it. This is the most likable national Cincinnati Reds team in a long time. And you're going to throw Trevor Bauer into this team that everyone hates? Like, why would we do that? Why would we do that? I hate that. That's just, I think it's terrible. And then David, like, these new allegations come out. I haven't even read it. I don't know what it is. I don't like that. As a guy has a daughter, I don't love that I have a guy that even has that attached to him. I'm not getting into it because I really don't care. Other than I just don't like that representation for a team that I root for, that I'm on a show every night talking about. I don't want that. Crush me, chat.
I don't think the chat's going to crush you. I think it's a very evenly split. I would actually think that it's as close as politics would be when it comes to voting for a president in regards to the people that would be pro signing Bauer and people that are anti signing him no matter what. Both sides have a case. I'll leave it at that. I'm relatively independent on the matter. I think that both sides have a case. One guy was not legally charged with anything. There has been multiple times, if you want to get into it, of women having allegations against men that have been completely falsified. In fact, there was a punter not that long ago that got kicked out of the league and was condemned to hell and back because he supposedly had, an incident with some women. It turns out that all the women lied. Do I need to go back to the Duke lacrosse story? There's been a lot of different situations to where there have been people that have taken people with a lot of money and try to use that to their advantage. I am not suggesting for 1 second that this is the case for Trevor Bauer. So let's be clear with that. We're not going to get into all of that, but I'm just saying I can play devil's advocate for both sides. And I can also agree, Nick, that yes, this team is fun. They got a lot of young players. It's not worth it. Even if he did come in and add some wins, it's not even worth messing around with the clubhouse. Forget it. We'd rather go out and lose with somebody better or worse. It kind of, to a certain extent, it paints a clear picture of why both sides could be very accurate or inaccurate or right or wrong. All right. This is a very tight race, by the way. Do you take Bauer if it's guaranteed you the NLCS? 53% say yes, 47% say no. That's kind of my point. I'm guaranteeing you an NLCS. This is a starving fan base that hasn't won a playoff series in 30 years or whatever it's been, and we've got an actually 46% of our chat that doesn't even want that. So I completely understand. All right, let's get into... Are we going to talk about, who do you want to talk about? CES? I don't want to get into CES tonight because it's an absolute disgrace he's not up here. And I get why people would probably say, hey, we're tired of talking about that. Any other thoughts on what can the Reds do in general, in your opinion, between the All-Star break and the trade deadline on actually making this team better without mortgaging the future?
I mean, getting CES up here would make it better. Getting Graham Ashcraft back and healthy and pitching anywhere close to what he was before would make this team a lot better.
Couple people saying Lorenzen. What's your thoughts on that?
Those are the kind of guys I want to target. I mean, yeah, I'm supportive of a move like that. I don't think we should be looking to move Edwin Arroyo, for example, for a pitcher at the deadline. I think that's those are the mistakes that got us to this point, and we have corrected that. Let's not repeat the mistakes. Let's not be on the other end of a Tyler Mahle trade. But a guy like Michael Lorenzen that you're, not giving up much for, sure, absolutely, sign me up for that. Patrick Corbin, sign me up for that type of move. Hell, Zach Greinke, sign me up for that type of move. Those are the kind of moves that make sense to me, where we're giving this team a better chance without changing any of our long-term trajectory. The Reds need to be able to do both things at once, and we've talked about that before in the future. They need to be able to make some moves that make their team better, but also they have got to plan 4 or 5 years ahead of who's going to be the next group, and continue to keep that just pipeline strong of players coming up and making their debuts. And hopefully it's not like 5 more years before we see another Matt McLain and another Ellie De La Cruz call-ups. Like, we should be having this all the time.
Right.
Just, hey, next year, hey, we're going to have Noelvi Marte make his debut. Oh, the next year we're going to have Cam Collier and Edwin Arroyo make their debut, and they're going to jump on the scene and make a big splash. And Chase Petty and Connor Phillips, just keep those guys coming through. And if you do that, you're not going to have to do as much in the short term, because you're going to have those other guys that are going to supplement your teams. And that's what keeps teams like the Rays and the Guardians and the A's, when they were good for year after year after year after year, with spending a fraction of what the Reds could spend.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that I'm hesitant when we talk about extension talks, Nick. The beautiful thing about Major League Baseball, even though it doesn't have a salary cap and it makes it really hard on small market teams to keep superstars, the good news is that you do have 6 years of team control. Yes, there's arbitration, but you do have 6 years of team control, Nick. I'm not suggesting 1 second that we shouldn't try to extend guys like Ellie and or Matt McLain or Steer or things like that. But we need to be careful. We need to be smart. These guys are probably going to take a little bit of a nosedive, if we're being completely honest, after 6 years of service time anyways. And I'm not suggesting these guys aren't going to have better than 6 years league careers in Major League Baseball, right? But in 10 years, Matt McLain is 34 years old. And I'm not suggesting he's not going to be the same player that we see right now. So we need to just pump the brakes, and to your point, keep bringing up guys through this system that allow us to be able to replace these guys. Look at the Astros, right? Carlos Correa leaves the Astros. They replace him with, I'm not suggesting this is going to happen every time, and I can't remember the kid's name off the top of my head, but they replace him with the guy, and I'm not saying he's just as good as Correa, but he's pretty damn good. So instead of going out and spending $1 billion on Carlos Correa, they made a wise choice, in my opinion. All right. Chapman, he mentioned he wants to come back to the Reds, or I don't know if that's what he said, but he said he would be interested in doing that, or he would like to maybe see that happen. I don't hate that. If this is going to be a team that relies on the bullpen exclusively and heavily, Nick, maybe it wouldn't be that bad of an idea to go out and try to add a few more bullpen arms, even though that doesn't make sense because they have one of the best bullpens in the league. From a depth perspective, that might be the answer. I'm not suggesting they don't need better starting pitching, by the way. I'm just saying that they could theoretically, instead of trying to go out and get 2 or 3 more starters, which seems next to impossible, maybe you find a way to add 1 starter, but then you go out and you get a Chapman and you add in a couple other relievers. The next thing you know, your bullpen is the thing that you hang your hat on every night. Can your starter go out there and give you 4 or 5 innings, and next thing you know, you give it to the bullpen?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can never have too many good relievers. I mean, you could go add 3 relievers tomorrow, send Duarte, Legumina, and Cruz down to AAA. They're there when your next injury happens, because these guys are going to all get hurt. Relievers get hurt all the time. And you have a much stronger bullpen, and maybe you feel a little more confident when you're in a close game and Ben Lively or whoever's pitched 4 innings, let's just go right to the bullpen now. We have enough arms that if we need to rotate guys out from AAA and shove them back and forth, we're not really going to have a huge drop off like we would have had before, where we feel like, we gotta, because the Reds have really, honestly, let's be honest, frank here, they've gotten lucky that some of these starts from guys like Ben Lively and Brandon Williamson, where they've gone into the 6th and 7th inning, they've still been able to win those games. And that's probably not a good recipe long term. So yeah, whatever you can find. I mean, it's all going to be, what do other teams want back in return? What makes sense for the Reds, and who can you give up without mortgaging the future or anything like that?
Yeah, I also think reliable. If you want, reliable is a strong word. I would like to think. I think that you could go out and find relief pitching significantly easier than you can find starting pitching. There's only so many guys that you would say are reliable starters in this league that are even available. Greinke's a guy that comes to mind, even though I know it's the Royals. It seems like it's just right front of mind. Greinke's a guy too that you think that would be actually an asset for the pitchers that we have on this staff as well. We got some younger pitchers. How much that matters, I don't know. How much of that rubbing off on other guys matters, I don't know. It seems like we do kind of, it does seem like we kind of, I don't know what the right term is, overvalue that from time to time. Casale gets a lot of credit for that, and he should to a certain extent is what I'm getting at. It's also, it reminds me of the vibes of kind of saying like India is a leader, you can't go without India. And it's like, okay, well, how much of a leader is like, what exactly is it that we're talking about, and how much value is that actually? Not saying it doesn't have any value, just don't want to overvalue it. That's all. I mean, Casale, to give him credit again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm dogging him. I mean, hell, he legitimately was like Stanley Cup Finals back there the other night, being a catcher for Karcher. So, he won us that baseball game in the 9th inning by legitimately standing on his head. Any other final thoughts before we do some Reds MILB?
Yeah, someone Evan brought up Justin Dunn. I forgot he's still, I haven't heard anything about him in a while. He's supposed to, at some point, make a run at it this year. A guy that could really be interesting. Tony Santillan also could be close, so that could be another nice reliever. But a guy that could get really interesting, he could maybe make one of these like late season pushes. Could you imagine if TJ Antone could get back into the mix at the end of the year?
Man,
that would be
my breath, brother.
I'm not holding my breath on it, but that could be a really fun like storyline. Let's say the Reds are hanging around in this race, and we get into like mid-August and Antone returns. That could just be cool. I'm kind of looking through the guys, and he's still out there. He's lurking.
Yeah, there's going to be a rainbow over center field, right over the river deck there in center field when Antone makes his debut too, and it's going to be a beautiful sunset out there, and there won't be any raindrops in the clouds. It'll just be picture perfect. Yeah, I mean, I could paint that picture myself too. I just don't think that that's actually reality. Not trying to be negative, not trying to be toxic, just trying to be real. Just trying to be real. Real chat, just trying to be real. I mean, I'm not believing that Antone's going to come back. I pray to God he does. I hope he does. But as I've said before, the one thing that we I don't want to say we always do, but the one thing that I feel like most fans do that they just discredit is injuries do affect guys when they come back. They're not the same as they used to be. Joey Votto is probably never going to be the same. And it's not because Joey Votto doesn't care anymore. It's not because Joey Votto is just, it's because he got hurt. A significant injury changes people's careers. Injuries, I'll tell you that. This is a belief that I have. I'm not saying it's a fact that I know analytically. I think injuries end more professional careers than bad play for all levels. Injuries end more careers than bad play. More times than not, guys get hurt and they come back and they're just not the same guy they used to be, so they have to hang it up. Than somebody that just can't cut it anymore because they're not good enough. So we'll see how it goes. You looking deep into the weeds of trades, or what's going on in the monitors that are Nick Kirby?
Oh, I'm just looking at the standings and kind of chuckling. 34-35, game and a half back. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. 5 in a row. Whew.
I mean, it is dumb. I'm not here.
They're a half game behind the Brewers.
Yeah. No,
anyone play tomorrow?
I'm going to show the chat. Chat wants to see it. I'm going to give the chat what they want.
Pirates play the Cubs tomorrow. Do the Brewers play tomorrow? Looks like the Brewers are off. So I mean, in theory, the Reds could potentially be a game out on Friday if the Pirates lose tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it right in front of your face, chat. Cincinnati Reds 1.5 games back of the NL Central, trailing only the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Milwaukee Brewers. You know the other thing, which I know we haven't talked about it. They're 2.5 out of the wild card. So it's not like it's just the Central that is to be had. All right, well, let's do some Reds MLB. You got that on the docket?
7 games better than the Cardinals.
Get over
seven games ahead of the Cardinals. They were like minus 120 to win the division.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Never count them out though. No, let's.
We're not counting out the Cardinals until their magic number doesn't exist anymore.
It's -5.
Yeah, negative. The magic number's extinct. They've been eliminated. When it's all caps eliminated, I'm not saying nothing about them.
All right, Reds MLB, presented by Betfred Sportsbook. Louisville Bats, they played much earlier today. It felt like an eternity ago. They lost 11-3 to St. Paul. Bats fall to 35-28 on the season. CES 1 for 5. Votto 1 for 4 with a walk. Votto did have two balls hit over 100 miles per hour today. However, Votto is 4 for 29 now, 138 average during his second rehab stint. Well, Myers, today he was 2 for 4. Nick Senzel in his final rehab game was 0 for 4. And then Matt Reynolds, 2 for 4 with a double, just keeps on trucking along down there. Chattanooga, they lost 10-6 to Rocket City, but Reese Hines hit his 9th home run. Reese Hines has 4 home runs in the last 3 games for Double-A Chattanooga. Man, it'd be awesome to see if he could kind of have one of these surprise runs to the Reds minor leagues, maybe get promoted up to Louisville and maybe get in the conversation as just another dude for the Reds. Dayton, they got swept in a doubleheader by Fort Wayne today. Game number 1, Edwin Arroyo had his 11-game hit streak snapped. He only got 3 at-bats because they only play the 7-inning games. But he did bounce back in game 2, had a double. Chase Petty also pitched in the second game. Looked really good early. Gave up 3 runs over 4 innings. Didn't walk anyone, struck out 3. Chase Petty, though, still with a 1.50 ERA. 26 strikeouts, and get this, only 5 walks in 24 innings this year.
That's good.
So Chase Petty pitching really well. Excited to see him. Love to see him get up to Double-A at some point this year. Then the Tortugas, they only got 3 hits today. They lost 7-0 to Jupiter. The only guy, Hector Rodriguez, 2 for 4. He really was the only offense today for the Daytona Tortugas. And Trace, I think that was our fastest Reds MLB rundown of the season. So there you go.
Love it. Who was it presented by again, just to make sure?
Betfred Sportsbook, where the Cincinnati Reds, unless it's updated since tonight, they're down to plus 750 to win the division. But you know what? If you're looking for some value, Trace, they're still plus 10,000 to win the NL pennant. So maybe that's where your value is.
Don't tempt me now. Don't tempt me now. All right, we got 2 things left to do in this show. You know what they are. I know you do. You know what they are. Actually, 3 things. One is to like the stream. We have 141 likes. I think 150. We got to that last night. If we get to 200, it's a record.
We got to 250 yesterday.
250 in total. But
that was after the fact. Yeah, we probably got
if we get to 200 live on the stream, we will be without question breaking a record. However, as always, we do appreciate the people that watch this show after the fact. Please comment any questions that you might have on a daily basis and or things you'd like to talk about. We will always get back to them, and we will try to do our best to bring them up on the next show. As a reminder, if you guess the correct score and who hits a home run tonight, I mean, would have been tough luck if you didn't pick somebody that hit a home run. But if you pick the correct score and a home run for the next game, which will be for the first game in Houston for this specific show, you can win some Cincinnati Reds tickets, okay? The last thing I'm going to tell you in regards to some housekeeping items is I have to put a security deposit down. I have to put a security deposit down on a group package. I'm going to try to get the river deck. I don't, what do they call it? The river boat. It's the river boat, right? What's in center field, chat? I should know this. I'm sorry.
We're getting the boat. We're getting the boat. I've never even been in the boat before.
I'm going to try to get the boat. I'm going to try to get the boat. I have to put a significant amount of money down, which is a little scary, but I'm willing to do it. The only thing is I need to make sure that we're going to have enough people there. We're going to have enough people there to make it to where it's worth it. Now, again, what that would entail, what you would require, at worst case scenario, you'll have to pay for whatever half the ticket cost the company. Worst case. I'm going to try to take care of the whole entire thing, again, but we're talking boatloads of money. The only thing that I want to make sure of and clear of is that you can do a Monday. They play the Giants. Nick, do me a favor. Get on their schedule right now and try to figure out that. I think it's the 17th of July, but confirm that. I'm going to put into the chat. I also want to, if you wouldn't mind, if you don't watch this show live right now in the poll, maybe I'll do a Twitter poll and I'll do a poll on here, but it's not going to be an exact science. But what I'm getting at is I do need to figure out if we're going to have enough people there to be able to get the boat. Again, I'll get as many personalities from Chatterbox as we can. We'll enjoy ourselves. We can, mingle around and have fun. And it's one of those things where I'm not expecting you to pay the whole bill because I think the tickets cost the company like $90 a ticket. Worst case scenario, if we could try to figure out a way to where we can get 40 of it, I'm willing to cover the rest of it. And you get your beverages and you get your food and all that included. But again, to be clear, I don't want to put, I think I have to pay for 100 people and I have to put like half down. I don't want to put half down and then find out and realize we're only going to have 40 people there. So to be clear, am going to put a poll in the chat right now. We're going to end this poll. And I'm going to put another one up really quickly. I'll buy us some time to make sure that everyone can vote. I want you to genuinely tell me if you're willing to go and if you think you can cover, call it $40 at the worst case scenario. So let me add the poll now, and we'll knock that out. The other thing that I was going to ask you, Nick, was something that slipped in my mind right now as far as commenting the score. I already said that, so. All right. Anything else that you have, housekeeping items, Nick, that people need to pay attention to and or be aware of? I know tomorrow we're going to be off. Is that correct? Talk through that.
Tomorrow we are off, and then the like I said, the Pirates though play the Cubs at 8:00. Has a lot of meaning for the Reds. Reds could get one back if the Pirates lose. Reds on Friday, they will start a 3-game series in Houston against the defending Major League Baseball champs. The Astros, entering tonight, they were 38-29, 3.5 back in the AL West, but they were only one game up on the final wild card spot. So they are right in the thick of a race as well. Entering tonight, they had lost 5 of 7. Yordan Alvarez, their best hitter by a country miles on the IL right now. The Reds will also miss their 2 best pitchers, Framber Valdez and Christian Javier, going tonight and tomorrow. But the Astros have a really nasty back into the bullpen. Jose Altuve, Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman, Jeremy Pena, that's their stars. They haven't necessarily been bad, but they have all underperformed probably what you would have expected from them. With that, you always think they're probably due for some positive regression at some point. Friday night's matchup, it's not official. Astros haven't officially announced their starter, but it's JP France's turn. He made his major league debut back on May 6th. He had a fantastic year so far at AAA and then in the major leagues. But this guy wasn't even a top 30 prospect for the Astros and does have a FIP just shy of 5. So maybe he's due for some regression. Hopefully the Reds could get to the right-hander on Friday. And then Andrew Abbott, of course, a 0.00 ERA through 2 starts. Hitters are only slugging 175 against Abbott, only 7 total bases against him. But the one concern for Abbott, and it's I think a pretty decent concern, 7 walks in 11.2 innings. This is an Astros team, Trace, that I don't think you can get away with walking guys. I think that could really hurt Abbott on Friday night. And the Reds, hey, they're set up pretty well in the series. Hunter Green going on Saturday, Luke Weaver on Sunday. obviously, if you could just win one, I think that would be good. But this is serious. I think the Reds could win 2 out of 3, and if the Reds win 2 out of 3 against the Astros, they'd be 500.
Yeah, and again, I actually would be I would be thrilled if they got one. I know that that's being a little bit of a loser mentality. I know that sounds like I'm kind of
with you.
I'm laying down. It's one of those things where getting swept is a really it's a little demoralizing. It feels a little demoralizing. But if they can find a way to win 1 out of 3 on the road in Houston, I would take it and I'd keep it moving. I would keep it moving. So if they take 2 or 3, I would be absolutely. I don't want to say shocked. That's the wrong word. If they swept the Astros, I would be shocked. But I'll take 1. If you told me that I was guaranteed 1 right now, I would take it if it meant that they were going to lose 2, which maybe that's a loser's mentality, but nonetheless, I'm taking it. All right, I appreciate everybody voting on the poll. Please, if you have not voted right now, please vote. We have basically 190 folks in here. I know many of you maybe are on devices or something that you wouldn't be able to vote on. I don't know if anyone has a better idea. I'm trying to get I'm just, like I said before, I'm just trying to get a general clue of whether or not people can make that July. I think it's the 17th. Nick, is that true? I'm sorry. Is it July 17th? Should be a Monday. Chat might be able to tell me before you get there, but
it was the Giants.
It was the Giants. That Monday night is the date. Loading.
17th.
Loading.
17th Giants 7-10.
Okay. Google form, not a bad idea, Mouse Cop. That's why you're the man. Not a bad idea. We might be able to do that. Seems like a good idea. The bow tie bar area. Alex, I've looked at all of them. A lot of it has to do with availability, and some of it has to do with just the amount that it can hold. A lot of those luxury areas, and they call them luxury areas. A lot of those group areas. They really cap out around 50 to 60 people, and a lot of them do, but then you have other areas where they cap out at 150, 300. In some of the areas, it's one of those things where you pay by the person instead of just paying for the whole entire thing regardless. I would hate to get us, like you could do the handlebar. I would hate for us to get a spot and then people show up and they wouldn't be able to actually see the whole field, or they wouldn't really have, I don't want to say they wouldn't have a seat, but they just wouldn't have a very good view of the game because there's too many people in one spot. I'm all about having fun and mingling around, but I'm also about seeing a baseball game too. So I want to make sure people can enjoy themselves and watch a baseball game if they're going to come. We will sort through that. We'll work through that as always. But we got 2 very important things to do on the show. Some people probably waited around all night long. And Corey is saying you can make a $1 deposit for clarification for coming. Yeah, we'll do something, Corey. I don't know what that may be, but we'll figure that out. I appreciate the super chat. We're $1.99 closer than we were before. That's for damn sure. So, Nick, let's see it, big man. I know you got it laying around somewhere. There it is. Look at that. You're a seasoned vet at this point.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Oh, man.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
No. That's all right. Oh, he's doing it.
Oh, no, Nick.
Oh, man.
I did you dirty. I did you dirty, Cage.
You know what's funny, Nick, is I think you've actually done that a good amount of times. So maybe that's good luck. I'm not trying to say I'm superstitious, but maybe I am somewhat superstitious. It doesn't really make sense to be superstitious, but I might be. I might be.
Nick's gonna be sad. He's come out 5 days in a row, and he can't come out tomorrow.
I'll tell you what. My wife bought, I think it was a 12 or 24 pack of these fine Pilsner beers, and I thought that was going to last me like a month. Joke's on me, baby. It's going to last like 2.5 weeks at most. But as always, let's do some promos before we do something I'm going to try to do, which I don't know. This might be a bad idea, but I like to consider myself an athlete, so I'm going to give it a shot. But as always, we do a show called Off the Bench in the Mornings with Thom Brennaman. If you enjoy sports, you like Cincinnati sports, you should check it out. Not just Thom. They got some guys on that show now that are I think they're pretty funny, and they're knowledgeable. They got some guys on that show that are actually worth their weight in gold, or, what's the term? They're worth their salt. I don't know. I'm not very good with that stuff. But I do know one thing. They got some dudes. That show is actually pretty good. I'm not joking. All right. Another thing, really quickly. We do this thing called Chatterbox Reds. You watch it live on YouTube, but you can also download it and review it and give us a rating on the podcast platforms. Okay? That would be very nice of you. I would really, really like that. Really enjoy that if you did that for me. That's all I'm asking. Go on there and leave us a review. Because for some dumb reason, that's what the internet wants. They want reviews, they want ratings, they want likes, they want all these things, and that helps us. And most importantly, as always, I said this 1,000 times. Nick, you can let the people see me when I say this. We love you. I know that sounds a little weird, but this is fun because of you. Yes, the Cincinnati Reds are fun to watch. Yes, we enjoy the games, but this is actually more fun to do because of all of you. You're engaging in the chat. You're knowledgeable fans. You're fun at times. You're actually funny at times. You do get on each other's nerves at time to time. I think that there's some people in the chat that go after each other. As long as you keep it nice, you keep it classy, you keep it fun, we'll keep it moving. No big deal, right? We'll keep it moving. We won't worry about it. I got a dunk to do. I'm going to do my best to show my athleticism. But I want you to remember, POs aren't athletes. And you can't just stick shortstop just because they're athletes wherever on the field. You can't do it. But I'm going to try to do something special tonight. I'm going to try to make you proud. I'm going to try to bring you the best dunk that I've done so far. And this is for Clay. This is for Clay. You give me an idea, I'm going to try to execute. As always, though, go Reds. Love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully I don't break my face trying to do this, but I'm going to give it hell.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Please don't break your leg. Here comes Fowler.
I'm going to have to be an athlete, people. Sometimes not great still wins. Go ask the Royals.